What is up, everybody? It is Tuesday night. That means it is time for Drive for Show, DFS for Dough, here on RotoGrinders, getting into a busy time on the golf calendar with the Arnold Palmer Invitational this week. So it's just a time where it maybe never used to be as well known, but with the players getting moved to March, we get more of the big time golfers competing. We've got this event is an elevated event now this week. So we just get stronger fields in the month of March, where we used to see guys maybe not kicking it into high gear until the Masters in April. So always nice when the tournaments get pretty competitive and we see some of the iconic courses like we have this week at Bay Hill. So to break it down here, you've got myself, Justin Van Zuiden, and you've got Mr. Notorious, Derek Farnsworth as well. Noto, what's up?
What's going on? How did you feel about the very easy PGA National?
Yeah, it was very striking to see, it's just becoming another PGA Tour course, and the field strength has dwindled over the years, right? It's not the Honda Classic anymore. They don't have the same sponsor. And no offense to Joe Highsmith, like we brought him up on the show last week. I certainly didn't expect him to win, but when you look at that leaderboard, like it's not what you would generally expect. So yeah, I don't know. Not a huge fan of the way the course played. Like just different.
Yeah, kind of the same. Anytime you get a 59 on Thursday, you kind of I don't know. I don't think we've ever seen that at PGA National. So I didn't love it. Obviously, the wind wasn't very strong, so that could have something to do with it. But yeah, the PGA management has taken over the, groundskeeping of the course over the last 2 years now, and we've seen it just play easier and easier. Sounds like they've done that to a couple courses on the PGA Tour now. And yeah, I don't know. I get the fans like birdies and all that, but man, I don't know. I just like seeing golfers struggle at least a little bit. Like there was a point where the bear trap wasn't even, like guys weren't even, missing fairways or greens whatsoever.
Yeah, if we look at, so the course average was minus 2.4 on Thursday, minus 1.5 on Friday, minus 2.1 on Saturday, and minus 0.5 on Sunday. So it was a little tougher for that final round there. And we did see some bigger numbers on Sunday, but just not what we've come to expect from that tournament in terms of difficulty. And you mentioned it, just changing the setup of the course, not allowing the rough to grow up higher. There really wasn't much of a penalty for missing the fairway off the tee, and 59 on Thursday was certainly impressive, and it didn't even end up finishing inside the top five, with Jake Knapp taking a questionable decision to try to hit the ball out of the water on 11, I believe, on Sunday. Ended up making a triple. People made a big deal about that. If he would have gone back in the fairway and hit the green and two-putted, he would have made a 6. He ended up making a 7, so it was one stroke really at the end of the day, which cost him some money. But it's, in my opinion, I think it was being overblown how much that cost in the tournament. I mean, yeah, if he makes par there, a different story. But he tried to hit the hero save out of the water. Everybody's saying, his caddy should be fired on the spot for that. I don't know. It obviously, in hindsight, was pretty stupid because the ball was basically submerged. But it obviously didn't work out. But if it would have worked out, then nobody would be saying that. So it's easy to say after the fact. But in any case, Knapp with the 59 on Thursday and then finished T6. Jordan Spieth up in the mix as well. So that means, it probably wasn't the best week for me. But anything else for takeaways last week for you?
Yeah, I feel for Knapp a little bit. I think he said he could see like the very top of the ball coming out of the water, and then just decided to go for it. I mean, even if he just gets it on dry land, it's essentially saying you're going to take your drop from wherever the ball, ends up.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets it up to close to the fringe or whatever, and then chips it close, he can make a 5.
Yeah,
as opposed to a 6 or the 7 that he ended up with. But really, even though he, it went back into the water, like he wasn't that far away from staying out.
Yeah, for sure. And Yeah, other thoughts. I mean, I had outrights on Ben Griffin, who had the lead at 1 point on Sunday and then immediately gave it up. I had the outright on Russell Henley, who touched the lead for 1 second and then bogeyed like 3 of his next 4 holes. So, yeah, just my guys that didn't have what it took on Sunday. And it kind of – none of the guys in the final groups really played that well. You saw the chasers, Highsmith, Bridgman, Spawn, McGreevy all kind of shoot up the leaderboard. And then, all the guys in the final groups ended up shooting either over par or barely under par. So, yeah, it wasn't a great week for me, but a lot of that had to do with some of the cut guys too.
Yeah, my boy that I flag planted on Cam Young last week, that did not work out. But there was a lot of guys that the cut ended up being -5, which is crazy for that course. But Pendrith missed the cut on the number. Sung Jae missed the cut on the number. Cam Young, who I just mentioned, missed the cut on the number. Lucas Glover missed the cut on the number. Davis Thompson missed the cut by 2. Kevin Roy, who got some buzz last week, missed the cut by 2. Eric Cole, Benny On, quite a few bigger names that had some ownership last week missed the cut. And it tends to be a little bit more unpredictable when courses play easy, and that's what we saw last week. So pretty much put it in the rearview mirror. And, of course, in our snake draft, I drafted Lee Hodges, who ended up withdrawing like 30 minutes after the show ended, which was pretty cool. So it wasn't just wasn't my week either.
All right, let's get to Bay Hill.
Let's get to Bay Hill. We'll turn the page on the Cognizant/Honda Classic. Another elevated event this week. We previewed it at the end of last week's show if you didn't catch it, but 72 golfers in the field. Cut goes down to top 50 in ties, and I believe anyone within 10 strokes of the lead. We saw this same type of setup like 3 weeks ago where some of the bigger names, I mean, even though only 18, 19 golfers got cut, some bigger names got cut, and the 6-6 percentage was still like under 20% a few weeks ago. So we like it, even when there is a somewhat limited cut. 72 golfers this week. We'll see if Bay Hill goes to 20 under now, if it's just all free for alls. I can't imagine that, but usually a pretty tough course here, except for Scheffler last year, who got to -15, but he won by 5. So usually you don't see a lot of guys getting to double digits here at Bay Hill, but what do we got for a course this week?
Yeah, you mentioned a very difficult golf course. It's been in the top 10 in difficulty each of the last 5 years. In 2020, it actually played as the toughest golf course of any on the PGA Tour, including the majors. So, yeah, this course definitely has teeth, and I think we're going to see it play very difficult, especially with it being such a strong field. And we have some wind in the forecast too, especially on Thursday and Sunday. Looks like there's going to be 20-plus mile-per-hour wind on Thursday and then 30-plus mile-per-hour gusts on Sunday maybe. Obviously, there's time for the forecast to change, but it should be fun. The fairways here pretty average in width, but they are difficult to hit. I think the field hit 59% of the fairways last year. And if you do miss the fairways, it's really a big penalty because you have the water hazards, you have the 3-inch thick rough, and it's just really hard to hold these very fast greens when you're playing from the rough. So big emphasis on guys that drive the ball well. The length obviously helps with the length of the course since it's 7,500 yards, and then the accuracy obviously helps with your approach shots, not having to come out of the rough, being able to spin the ball. The greens are big, but they are lightning fast, so going to see a lot of balls running off the green. Golfers only hit 59% of greens in regulation last year, which is compared to 70% for tour average. And yeah, approach shots a lot from over 200 yards, so you're going to get a lot of long iron play. I think guys that play well in Florida make sense. Guys that play well at the majors make sense because of the difficult scoring. Guys that play well in good fields, stuff like that. Anything else you're looking at?
Yeah, I like it. So when you look at this course and how difficult it is overall, yet you look at the par fives, and that's where almost all the scoring is done because the fourth hole is 590. The sixth hole is the iconic kind of U-shaped backward C, whatever you want to call it, depending on what angle you're looking at it from. That's 555. The infamous Bryson tried to drive the green on one time. The 12th hole is 574, and the 16th hole is 511. So those are the par fives. Not overly long when you consider how long the course is, and that is where most of the scoring gets done. The other holes, you're just kind of holding on for dear life. So I don't mind looking at par 5 scoring this week, simply because that's where the most of you can make hay on those holes compared to the others. Pulling up the stats from last year on a hole by hole basis here so the 16th hole played at minus 0.52, the 6th hole played at minus 0.25, 12th hole played at minus 0.23, the 4th hole played at minus 0.19. So though 4 par 5s were the 4 easiest holes, and then there were only 3 other holes that played to an under par average for the week, and they were all just barely. Then all the others played over par. So you're going to have to make birdies on the par 5s. And I like looking at total driving this week because obviously you don't want to be in the rough because it's penalizing, as Noto just mentioned, but you also kind of want to have some distance. So guys that have the best combination of those, I mean, it's always going to be an advantage. But certainly on this course, if you're long and you're straight, you're going to be at an advantage more than just the usual tournament where the roughies isn't as difficult to hit out of. So that's what I'm looking for this week. Of course, we've got the best golfers on tour in the field here, with it being an elevated event. Our 10K plus options are Scheffler and McIlroy and Schauffele, with very different discussions to be had about these guys right now. Scheffler, defending champ, hasn't won since he's come back, but he looks healthy. McIlroy, who has a long track record of success at Bay Hill. He's made the cut all 10 times he's played here. He has a win here as well. Quite a few top 5 finishes. And then Schauffele, who's coming back from a relatively brief, but still notable injury absence. Those are your 3 golfers above 10,000. Scheffler has the edge in projected ownership right now, as usual. How are you handling that group this week?
Yeah, it's tough. I think Xander's the odd man out for me, largely because he's come out and said, he hasn't had a ton of time to practice and doesn't know where his game's going to stack up right now. He's dropped in the odds market from all the way down to 20-1, which is worse than Ludwig and about the same as Colin Morikawa, who are both cheaper than him. So I think Xander's kind of the guy I don't want to play here. But yeah, love Scheffler. He's won this event 2 of the last 3 years. Love Rory McIlroy, best driver of the ball in the world. And if you look at recent stats, Rory has been driving the ball a lot better than Scheffler this year. So I don't know. I don't mind taking the discount, building a more balanced lineup with Rory. But at the same time, I'm not going to knock anyone for playing Scheffler. In MME, I think it's one of those weeks where I might just play at least one of the 2 in each build. I feel really good about one of them being in contention this week.
Yeah, when you consider both of their pasts at the course, it's tough to ignore them. I just think on the sample builds that I've done, it is a factor, that $1,200, and it's not like Rory's been a slouch at this course, right? 21, 2, 13, 10, 5 the last 5 years. Obviously not quite to Scheffler's level with the 2 wins the last 3 years, but if he's hitting the fairways off the tee, Rory is just as dangerous as Scheffler, and the $1,200 tends to be the difference maker for me this week. So give me Rory number 1 out of this group, Scheffler number 2, Schauffele number 3 for the same reasons that you mentioned. I think he's a little overpriced, given that we haven't seen him a whole lot. And it's not like he's got impeccable course history here either. Certainly not as good as the other top 2. So Schauffele, the odd man out for me as well. Rory will be the one that I am the most overweight on. All right, let's go ahead and move into the 9Ks. Pretty deep group here. We've got Ludwig, we've got Morikawa, we've got Cantlay, Justin Thomas, Matsuyama, Finau, Fleetwood, and Sam Burns are all your golfers in the 9Ks this week. None of these guys have particularly, sparkling course history. Cantlay's got 1 top 5. Henley's is okay. He's down in the 8s, though. He's down to 8,800. Nobody else really with multiple top 10 finishes in the last 4 or 5 years. So goes to Noto's point of McIlroy and Scheffler being, one of those guys, starting with one of them and, maybe skipping the 9s altogether. But still some guys that project well in here. What do you think on the 9s?
Yeah, we did have a question from J3 if we can stack Xander and Scotty in single entry. You can, given the fact that 70% or more of the field is going to make the cut. I don't like Xander myself, but I've been playing around with some Scheffler Rory builds. If you want to just take chances with 4 cheap guys, there's some guys with good course history down there. So you can. I probably won't in single entry, but I think it's possible with this week being how many guys make the cut. As far as the 9Ks, yeah, a lot of interesting options. I think my favorites are right in the middle: Patrick Cantlay, Justin Thomas. Patrick Cantlay seems like he's been in bad form, but he's had 4 top 5 finishes in his last 10 starts. He hasn't missed a cut during that stretch. Nearly won here in 2024 despite losing strokes putting. If you look at his game log, he's always been good off the tee, always been good short game. And the last 2 events, he's gained 4.4 and 3.5 strokes on approach. So I think he's figuring something out with the irons. At least that's what I'm hoping. So I do like Cantlay. I do like JT. Obviously lives in Florida, built his golf course, Panther International in Florida. He's been in great form recently. 2 good finishes here the last couple of years. So those are my favorites. No issues with Fleetwood or Burns or Aberg up at the top. But, yeah, I think the Cantlay and JT are my 2 favorites.
And I like Hideki as well. Hideki has a pretty solid history at Bay Hill, top 23 of the last 4 years. He's taken a little bit of time to rest, but had a pretty good start to the 2025 calendar year. I think he might get lost in the shuffle to some degree with a lot of these other options in the 9Ks. So Hideki will definitely be in my player pool. Ludwig will be in my player pool as well, given his upside and his distance off the tee. Morikawa with his ball striking can never argue against him. He's showing pretty high ownership. I'm probably underweight on Morikawa in tournaments this week, but I do like him as a potential starting point if you're not playing Scheffler or Rory in cash games, if you're into that. So, and like the Cantlay call also. But in general, we'll probably be underweight on a lot of this range as a whole, simply because of a function of how my builds are going and starting a lot of them with Rory. So, anything else on the 9Ks?
Did you see Spieth's comments about not getting the special exemption into this tournament?
No, I didn't.
So Rafael Campos ended up getting the exemption because Sam Saunders, Arnie's grandson, ended up picking him because he's a great guy over Spieth. So Spieth.
That's tough.
Comments. He wasn't too happy about it, but hey, you got to play your way in. You got to earn it. You can't complain about not getting an exemption.
They let the better golfer in. You can't complain about that. I'm kidding. Despite all my anti-Spieth rhetoric over the years, I'm just joking about that one. All right, let's move into the 8Ks. Starts off with Sungjae, who actually has pretty strong course history, 21st or better each of the last 5 years. But boy, the form does not look that great with him right now. If you're going to the top of this range, I think I prefer Henley, who obviously played well last week, was 4th here last year. And then we've also got McNeely, Zalatoris, and Daniel Berger, who is definitely my favorite in this range. Now, we haven't seen Berger here that much recently, but again, as Noto alluded to last week, you go back to when he was first coming on the tour, the Florida courses were always where he played well. Berger played well last week. I mean, the form has kind of been coming around. I really like him at 8,500. Henley would be my second choice at 8,800. Where are you looking at in the upper 8K range?
Yeah, what happened to Berger on Sunday? He was like in the mix. Did he blow up on his last few holes?
He still didn't finish that far back, but yes, it wasn't necessarily any one blow up. So it was a bogey on 14, a bogey on 15. He hit his tee shot in the water and actually saved a 4. And then a double on 16, which was another water ball. And he actually birdied the last hole. So, it was, rocky 3-hole stretch there on the back 9.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind Berger. Like you mentioned, always plays well. Florida State guy, 3 straight top 25s. So I think he's coming back. The rest of the range is kind of tough. I agree with you on Henley. Even though you don't think of him as a guy that plays well on long courses, his accuracy really pays dividends here. One of the better iron players in the field, especially with the long irons. So his lack of distance, I think he can make up for with his iron play. And then you have a lot of guys that have like good course history, but are not in the best of form, like Hovland, Zalatoris. I could see them playing well, but man, I don't feel great about them. Maybe go down to Lowry. He's kind of like Henley in that he always plays well in Florida. A couple top 10 finishes here. But yeah, I just don't love the 8Ks that much, which is kind of why I like starting with 2 9Ks or Scheffler or Rory.
And then just going down to the punt, or at least down to the 7Ks from there. I think I like the range a little bit more. Obviously, Berger and Henley I talked about. I like Lowry quite a bit as well. If he's under 10%, I'll definitely be overweight there. Really steady week last week. Ended up finishing in as part of that big pack at T11. I know quite a few people like Straka also at that ownership. I'm okay with it, but given the way he's played this year, probably seems a little bit affordable. I know Justin Bailey, who does some of our content, likes him this week. So, but otherwise, I think I've hit on most of my plays. Agree on Zalatoris probably being a pass from me, even though I generally like taking him on hard courses. Want to see him kind of consistently up there towards the top before I go back there a little bit more consistently. So, all right, I want to make sure I bring this up before we get all the way down this week. But if you are interested in doing a snake draft tonight, please hop on over to the YouTube chat and post a message in there that you're interested in doing one. And we'll try to get to that within the next 5 or 6 minutes. Once we get through the lower ranges here, we'll start with the upper part of the 7K range, where it's really shown pretty spread out ownership. Nobody really popping as massive chalk. Pendrith has the highest projected ownership in our early runs, but that's only at 12%. So Tom Kim, Corey Connors, Akshay, Jason Day, Michael Kim, Ben Griffin, Fitz, Jason Day, I already mentioned in this range. So quite a few golfers in here, even though we've only got a 72 golfer field. Anything you like in the upper part of the 7K range?
Yeah, anytime you get a difficult golf course, you got to play Corey Connors. This is the time of year where he starts stringing together good finishes, and then everyone plays him, at 8K at the Masters, and he finishes in the top 10 because that's what he does every year. He dominates here, 4 straight top 25 finishes, good ball striker. The short game's never good, but again, the more difficult the course, the better the ball strikers tend to do because tee to green becomes more important. So I do like Connors quite a bit. I do like Robert McIntyre. I forgot to hit on him at the $8,000 mark. His ball striking's been really good this year.
You're usually not a Bobby Mack guy.
I know. He never projects well. He doesn't project well for me this week either. But he's gained at least 2 strokes off the tee in 4 straight events, which, he's never done before. So he's figured out some with the driver. The irons have been pretty good this year. The short game's always pretty good. So I think it could be interesting. We've seen a lot of European golfers play well in Florida for whatever reason over the years. So yeah, I like Bobby Mack. I don't know what to do with Pendrith. It feels like a good course for him. Do you like Pendrith at all?
Yeah, I don't know. At that ownership, I'm fine with it. As long as he doesn't start to get maybe to that 18, 20% level, I like him, but I don't think he's a must play. I do think he's one of the better options in this range. I'd probably put him under Connors for sure. Connors is definitely my favorite here as well for literally the exact same reasons that you mentioned. Always, I'm getting tongue-tied tonight. Always tends to play well at this time of year on the harder courses. The ball striking is always his specialty. So Connors at 78 is my favorite. Pendrith, wait to see where the ownership goes from there. But I don't love this range. I'd just rather maybe go to the latter part of the 7K range. Like Adam Scott, I never mind taking on a difficult course. Tigala hasn't been great this year, but you're getting a big discount now. Aaron Rye will not be 1% owned. I assure you of that. But if you're prioritizing long irons, we know that's his specialty. D3 down here as well. So I like going into the lower part of the 7s. Saves a little bit of salary. And I don't like the upper part as much, so just save a little bit more on some of those guys. But where are you looking as we kind of go down that range?
Yeah, I do like Jason Day's 1 year before, a lot of top 35 finishes. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the event where he withdrew and then took his family to Disney World the very next day. And we saw pictures of him on Twitter. That was pretty funny. But yeah, he's 1 year before.
How long has that been now?
It's been a long time.
It has been. Time goes by way too fast. I'm going to find out when this was, and I'm going to be freaked out about it.
I'm pretty sure it was this event because it's in Orlando.
It was.
But yeah, Minwoo's been playing well. Good
you want to
Florida
guess?
guy. Yeah, I'm not going to look at his course history because I don't know. I'll guess 2017.
Ooh, 2 years after that. It was 2019. I would have guessed it was longer ago. All right. So now I don't feel so bad. It's probably about what I would have guessed as well. But March 12th of 2019. There you go. All right, back to it.
Can Michael Kim keep this up? Dude's on fire right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's got the social media mojo. He's getting that pip money.
I don't want to play him, but 4 straight top 15s is pretty good.
Yeah, he's been rolling. I don't hate it. I might keep him in my player pool just because I don't like a lot of guys in that salary range, but can take him or leave him, I guess.
I like Tigala. You mentioned he's very hit or miss, but he plays well here, coming off of one of his better finishes, although he did lose 3.9 strokes ball striking with his top 20 at the Genesis. So I don't know. He just tends to figure it out quicker rather than, for it taking a lot of time. Horschel's a Florida guy. I'll actually play Cam Young this week. I tried to talk you out of him last week, but
and you should have because he missed the cut, but only on the number.
I wanted to see what his because his approach numbers were what scared me heading into last week. So let me look at what he did last week. Negative 2.2 again. So he's lost at least 2 strokes on approach in 7 of his last 8. Maybe
I went for it one time here. I'm not going to dig myself a weekly hole chasing Cam Young, just making a cut in a 50 out of 72.
It's true. He's got a lot lower floor than most of the guys in the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly if he can keep it straight, he's going to hit it a long way. And look, I made the same case last week. I'm not going to argue it because it's, I went there. So I'll just let somebody else try this week and we'll see how it goes.
Deal.
All right. We'll go ahead and maybe try to fire up a snake draft here in a minute. But let's go through the sixes first. Just because there are at least some viable golfers down here. I mean, Brian Harmon's down here, Jaeger's down here. Harris English has really good history at Bay Hill, and he's 6,600. He's won this year, and he's got a T9 and a T2 at Bay Hill 2 of the last 5 years, and he's 6.6K. I mean, there's just plenty of good options down here. I don't mind taking a punt, especially if you're in the Rory Scheffler range. Potgieter at 6,500 can hit the ball about 400 yards. So, I don't mind taking a shot on some of these guys. They're not scrubs down here like we see most weeks.
Yeah, I think I might end up going Rory Sheff in my main lineup just because I want to take my chance with 4 of these cheap guys. I like Harmon. He's been just consistent. He's gaining strokes off the tee. The irons have been better recently. He was T12 here last year. Like Steven Jaeger, really good tee to green. You mentioned English. That one's interesting with the course history and with his form this year. Might take a chance on him. And then after that, he gets kind of spotty. You can maybe look to Max Homa. He's been so good here, but he's been so bad. One of those two is going to come to an end.
I know he didn't do anything in California for a while there. I can't with Homa right now. I don't know. Give me Potgieter at 400 yards and hope he can keep it straight.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Kirk's been hitting the ball well. He's good in Florida. Eric Cole's min salary. I don't hate.
He was pretty bad last week too. Compost is going to prove Spieth wrong and win. Yeah. There's solid golfers down here, and again with the limited cut, if you're looking to get Scheffler into more lineups, there's certainly guys you can play in this range. All right, let's try to fire up a snake draft. If you're not sticking around, as usual, thanks for checking us out. Hit that thumbs up button on the YouTube stream. Even if you're watching us on playback, we do appreciate that. And check us out next week for the players already. So that's crazy. Second week of March is here, which means I've only got about a month left of doing taxes once we get to next week. So that's exciting as well. And baseball season's coming up. Very, exciting times ahead for my world anyway. All right, there's a $5 snake draft on DK that is 0 out of 6, so I will be the first to join that. And if you want to hop in there, go to snake draft on DraftKings for the golf for the week. Find the 6-man $5 entry. We're up to 4 now. Hopefully we don't get stuck on 5 like we did last week. And we'll wrap the show up with one of those. One more. I did, by the way, after we talked last week about when I read your article about your Costco adventures, I did go back and read your article about your not being super handy adventures, but I didn't think that was that bad. I mean, you're still more handy than me, so it does not count for much, but
it's one of those things like it feels good to do something yourself, but man, it's the learning curve's a lot greater than I want it to be. So I would like to get there, and I'll keep trying, I guess.
All right, let me share my screen. We are filled up, so
Thanks.
Thank you to those
I got
who
third
joined.
pick. Like, I would rather have 6th than 3rd.
I'm 5th. All right. Share this bad boy here. Yeah, 1 or 2 seems like something of an edge this week. At least if you're on. Where will Xander go in the draft is a big question. It's an interesting question.
I'll go over under 6.5.
Fair enough.
What are you taking?
Yeah, it's a good number. I think I'll take over. I don't know. I don't feel great about it though.
It'll probably come down to pick 6.
Yeah. It's whether he takes Jay Horrell can manipulate the line by taking him 6 or 7. I probably wouldn't take him at 5 if he's there. So yeah, it'll come down to that. Get your bets in. All right. 7 seconds away. We'll fire it up. Lots of usual faces in the draft. Welcome. Bundler77, Andy Reid fan. Bundle Ruski on his way through the draft. We'll see if he takes Xander here. Yeah, this could be a spot. Nope. Okay. I will take Thomas. Now Jay Horrell can manipulate. If he wants to take Schauffele plus the over 6.5, he can just draft him 7th.
Okay. Over. Cash it.
Cash the over. Yep. See, manipulated. The feds are coming.
He probably would have got plus money on the over too.
All right. Well, I was hoping to get Hideki coming back, and then when I took Thomas, but I did not. So Thomas and Lowry for me to start.
Ooh, Morikawa's dropping. He just never plays in Florida. He has like the lowest strokes gained number in Florida. Okay, I'll take him. We didn't talk about Finau at all. He's been playing better finally.
Yeah, and he's just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not winning. He's not playing awful. Like he's in between. He's not Cam Young, but he's not Rory.
Surprised he didn't go play the Puerto Rico. Isn't that where he got his first win?
Yes, it is. And he got the stigma of not being able to win. Well, I should do that. I should pull up a Puerto Rico Open contest and see who the most expensive golfer is as I try to do that while not missing a pick here.
I saw Novak was the most expensive or the most, the highest odds, but then he ended up withdrawing and he's in this field. So,
Sam, you're up. You're going to get auto-picked.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Sung Jae. I'm not playing any of the guys on my team. So hopefully
there you go. Those are usually the ones
last.
that either fail miserably or do well.
Yancey in the chat asking who we like for FanDuel. A lot of the same guys we talked about. Nobody really standing out.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to get a high-end guy on FanDuel just because of the pricing, and the cheap guys are cheap. Henley's pretty cheap. Henley's really cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah, 9,700, number one point per dollar guy for me.
The most expensive golfer at the Puerto Rico Open is Sam Stevens. And with Novak withdrawing, Kevin Roy is now the fourth most expensive golfer in the field.
Wait, Sam Stevens is in this field, though.
Oh, maybe he's also withdrawn. Well, he still is. He has. He's still the most expensive guy. All right, hang on. I got to make a pick, then I'll go back there. So, all right. So now Moeller is the most expensive golfer, and Ryan Gerard is second, and then Kevin Roy. The mighty Kevin Roy is the third most expensive golfer of the remaining golfers in the Puerto Rico field.
It's a good field. Man, it's so weird seeing Michael Kim's name next to Hovland and Zalatoris.
They probably picked Campos to play in this event just so somebody else could win in Puerto Rico. Like
they didn't want him to
play.
play.
Always plays well down there. The Puerto Rico Open's probably pissed that Campos isn't in the field.
They didn't want him to string together top tens and get in the players
and get exemptions and everything. It's a ploy against you, Raphael. It declined the sponsor invite.
Although he just won, didn't he?
Maybe he did, didn't he?
So he doesn't even need the top 10.
At the Bermuda, at another.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Another auto draft again.
I'm the squatter in the draft this week. I apologize, everyone.
I've got him distracted. I can take partial blame. All right, back on task here.
Well, I was gonna say, course fit tool on Data Golf. I think it's the first week ever where driving accuracy and driving distance is like way more important than tour average.
Total driving.
Total driving. Good drivers the ball.
You're obligated to take Cam Young with your last pick if he's there.
Still. I did bet him top 10 at plus 700.
Plus 700 for top 10 in a 70 golfer field. That's crazy.
He's one of those guys. He's either going to play well or play terrible. He's not like a middling finish kind of guy.
Yeah.
All right. I hate my team, so I hope it loses. $5 donation to the fantasy
$5
god.
donation to the group. That's every week for me. All right. I said you had to take Cam Young with your last pick, so I'm obligated to. Oh, did somebody take Pot Guider? You kidding me? No. Who did? Who stole my pick? No. First pick, person with the tug rules. That's not allowed. You're banned. All right, we're done. Noto hates his team of Ludwig and Morikawa, M, McIntyre, Michael Kim, Min-Woo Lee, and Cam Young. JT, Lowry, Connors, Pendrith, Griffin, Rye, and Thompson. For me, it sounds like more of a Noto team with some of the guys that he likes, but at least most weeks, maybe not necessarily this week. But, all right, that's going to do it for us this week. As always, thanks for watching and checking us out. Do appreciate you tuning in. Reminder, leave a thumbs up on the YouTube stream. Appreciate that very much. Thanks to Steve for working hard producing for us. Thanks to Derek for joining me. And I'm Justin. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you back here next week for the players. Good luck and take care.